Hello, today I'm going to be making something that I haven't made before. Normally I like to test recipes out, but screw it, let's go on an adventure. Today, finally, we're going to be making chicken cordon bleu. I say finally because this got delayed 3 separate times, so finally here we are, we're gonna make this. I'm Boater, let's cook something. But not yet. Because I didn't actually test out this recipe before putting it on the air, I say a number of things through this episode that are false. Where I'm like, oh, well, it's probably fine because you could do this. That is wrong. Whenever something like that happens, the screen will flash red like this. And at the end of the episode, we'll see how many times I screwed up. It's like taking damage in a video game. Right? Right. Okay, back to the episode. Alright, for chicken cordon bleu, ingredient board, give us the goods.
4 chicken breast halves.
So that is 2 chicken breasts that are kind of drippy, so I'm being very drippy.
Swiss cheese.
Approximately a slice per half, but you can use extra, especially if you go and you say half a pound, and oh god, half a pound is that much?
Prosciutto.
Prosciutto is the fancier meat that you would use, and I guess a little more authentic, but ham is absolutely fine. If you have ham lying around, go ahead and use that. No one's going to get angry at you.
Breadcrumbs.
I had breadcrumbs.
Paprika.
I have a spice rack now.
6 tablespoons of butter. Half a cup of white cooking wine. 1 teaspoon of chicken bouillon granules.
So that's 1 teaspoon of bouillon granules, if you have the little, granules. Or you can just use a cube. Either way, we're going to be making chicken bouillon. Or I guess if you just want to buy it as is in store, keep watching to see how much that would be because I'm not positive.
1 tablespoon of cornstarch. 1 cup of heavy cream.
Alright, let's get started on our chicken. First we're going to cut our chicken breasts in half. Instead of the usual split, we're actually going to take them and cut them across like this, giving us the top half and bottom half. This will give us more surface area to work with and to stuff with after the fact. After that, cover your chicken halves with saran wrap or plastic wrap or whatever. Cover it with something. And then take a meat tenderizer, hammer, whatever, and we're going to flatten it out. You should be looking at about 1/4 of an inch in height, or so I'm told. I'm told that it'll flatten out really nicely. Let's see if I was lied to by the internet, which shouldn't happen. Oh, and by the way, I don't have a meat tenderizer, so I'm using a potato masher. And then when you're all done, just go ahead and peel this back, throw it out. And we've got our slightly flatter chicken breast halves. Not amazingly flatter, but still noticeably so. You notice we have a couple little guys over here. That's just when we put everything into the frying pan. Those will fry up and those will be something to snack on. So, awesome. Now we're going to be filling the chicken itself. So, roughly 1 slice per. We're taking some Swiss cheese and placing it in the middle, leaving a little bit of space around all the edges. We're looking at probably about a 1/2 inch or so, but really I'm folding it in half and placing it in the middle, and that'll do fine. And then followed up, of course, by the prosciutto. Just take a slice, and I happen to have it sliced a little thin here, so whatever, just get a slice on there as well. So 1 slice each should do it. Some slices are made more equal than others. Next, it says to fold it up, and it looks like we're just going to take one end and roll it up. I'm going to start with the narrow end here. Just grab it and roll, keeping your toppings on the inside. Oh god, that is not going to stick together at all. But you can pretend it's going to stick together using toothpicks. Very important, have toothpicks in your kitchen. I didn't think about it. Toothpicks aren't something that I would typically have. So that was the first time that I didn't make this when we were going to. Didn't have toothpicks. Steph, you don't have chickeny hands. Could you grab a few toothpicks for me? Let's say 2 toothpicks per. Actually, let's say 3 just to be safe. That way you don't have to come back here and do it again.
Many times I have to keep putting my hand back in bags.
Okay, so toothpicks. Just feed these through. We'll say 1 right here, Try to get them so that the each tip is relatively close to the surface of the chicken, because this is going to have to go in your frying pan as is like this. So we want to actually leave room to fry them on either side. Now I was planning on answering it later, but you heard me say fry. Typically chicken cordon bleu is baked, but if I can avoid using the oven, I'm going to. However, if you want, I think that you can follow pretty much all the directions that I'm giving you for the chicken itself and bake it anyway. For the exact time and temperature to leave it in there, refer to the internet. It occurs to me that the fold that it says could just be fold it in half like this. Either way, it's not really resembling cordon bleu that I've had in restaurants. That's more stuffed. I would guess that they would take the full breast, cut open a slice, and stick stuff inside, but I really don't know. Either way, this does look like it'll be good and it'll still work out. So the recipe called for 3 tablespoons of flour and 1 teaspoon of paprika. I'm just going to eyeball it with breadcrumbs instead of flour, a little bit better flavor, texture, whatever. But essentially what we're going to be doing is coating our chicken. So get breadcrumbs enough to coat the chicken, and then add a dusting of paprika. I'm going to kind of estimate how much a teaspoon would be. Yep, that would help. Paprika is one of those strong spices. BRB. You guys think I'm hamming this up, but I'm not. Just my left eye all of a sudden was like, hello! A very fine dusting. Carefully, come on. Don't make me get impatient and then put way too much on. Here we go. Yeah, that'll do. A little bit of color. Okay. Hey, guess what? I'm doing things out of order. Get a skillet ready. The butter that it called for is actually going to be what we're frying up the chicken in. Typically I use like vegetable oil or something, but well, whatever. 6 tablespoons of butter, or you can be lazy and throw the whole stick in. I'm gonna do that. Okay. We don't have anything to cover that one, do we?
No, there's a sponge tray.
No, I mean like cover, because...
Should use a smaller one.
Transfer your mostly melted butter into your new pan. And between the amount lost from there, now we're at about 6 tablespoons. Yay, it works! Note, while selecting your pan, you should be able to cover it afterwards, because we're going to be doing one of those cover and let it sit for a while. After a quick snack of an Oreo while waiting, leftover Halloween Oreo, while waiting for it to get melted, it's melted! So we take a piece of chicken, coat it. You know what? I should have stirred this up, get the paprika mixed in. So we're going to use one of our leftover toothpicks. Stir, 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 stir. I found a use for you. Coat it and drop it in. Well, don't drop it, but you know, place carefully. Make some room. Once they get brown on one side, go ahead and flip them to the other. Nope, lost a toothpick. But that's okay, the toothpicks are there to keep them together while they're cooking. After they're cooked, they are going to keep their shape. Why do I have my head this close? Once it's brown on both sides, this is where you add your bouillon and your white cooking wine. Now you're supposed to get the granules because this is supposed to sprinkle over. You are not making bouillon. You are simply adding some chicken spice to your chicken. I don't know. That's getting dropped in the middle there. Who knows if it does anything. And then add your half cup of wine. Reduce heat to low, cover, and let sit for 30 minutes. Which means we're going to come back in 15, start making the sauce, as well as our side, which is just boxed mashed potatoes. So, cool, we'll be right back. Simmer until chicken is no longer pink and juices run clear. Yeah, do it what the piece of paper says. I originally adapted this from allrecipes.com, however, by adding some stuff and changing some other stuff, that's why I didn't credit it to them in the title card, but I got a little bit from them, a little bit from Taste of Home. Kind of everywhere I looked up different ways to do this, so this is my recipe that I've never made before, but it's uniquely mine. Sure, whatever, we'll go with that. That smells really good, and I know that it tastes good because we had our little pieces of chicken that were tossed in there for grazing, and those tasted amazing too. Kind of makes me want to do more with butter instead of oil, but I can hear my arteries complaining. So, okay, next we're going to use this very same plate and transfer our chicken onto it. We're going to cover that with aluminum foil just so it stays a little bit warmer. Blend cornstarch with the cream in a small bowl and whisk slowly into the skillet. Why dirty a bowl? I'm trying to decide whether the butter should stay there or not, but it doesn't say to remove it, so sure, why not? And if it comes out absolutely terrible, then we'll know that that's a step that we should not have skipped. This is probably the only time I'll ever actually use cornstarch when using a tablespoon out of this, so that's gonna, you know, work. I'm probably gonna get a tablespoon all over me as I open the thing. Sure did! Tablespoon! Close enough. And then the cup of heavy cream. And whisk! This is going to thicken up a little bit here. While that's doing that, I shall further endeavor to educate. A lot of times there will be sauce inside of the chicken as well. That could be Dijon mustard. You could even make this sauce ahead of time and use some of that inside. Personally, for my first time out, I didn't want to try to mess around too much with that. So we're just going to take this, when this sauce is done, it's going to be drizzled over on top of our chicken. Speaking of our chicken, now that that's starting to get set over there, just go back here and take the toothpicks out because you're not going to want to eat those. And now that it's cooked, you don't need to keep them in there for shape. But if you're having a tough time removing them and you're just eating at home, then who cares? Another thing I'm thinking of is that cornstarch thickens, and since as the more I think about it, the more I think that butter probably wasn't supposed to be in there. I'll just try to thicken it up a little bit more. There's no way this could possibly go wrong. Time to plate! I ended up leaving in toothpicks because they're annoying to remove, so I'll just remove them once I've got a fork and knife available. Add our mashed potatoes. And then top with our sauce. Let's drizzle it over. And we've got ourselves a meal. Now it is time for the moment of truth. My first time making chicken cordon bleu and bringing you helpless souls along for the ride. And it came out great. So that has me relieved. That sauce did end up coming out just fine. I used a little bit more butter, so we used a lot more cornstarch. This came out really well. Can be served with whatever you want for a side. I have mashed potatoes that I also put the sauce on, and it came out great. If you liked what you saw or tasted, you can subscribe to me. Just hit the subscribe button down there. You can also follow me on Facebook and Twitter. All the links are at the end of the video as well as in the description below. So yeah, subscribe, follow, and I will see you next week.